Okay, our first trig lesson, 4.1a, we're going to talk about radian and degree measures. Since trig is all about angles first, let's get some vocabulary down. Angles start with an initial side. They bend at a point called the vertex. And they end at the terminal side. Okay, so you open from the initial side, swinging it open to the terminal side. Terminal, end. Standard position in an angle always starts from the x-axis. There's your x and y axis. So my angle, my initial side, will always lie on the x-axis. Okay, and then it's going to swing open. It can swing either way. It can swing upwards or counterclockwise, and that would be considered a positive angle if I swing up and came to my terminal side. Now if I swing down, I now have a negative angle to my terminal side. So I swing clockwise and got a negative angle. Okay, terminal angles, or I'm sorry, coterminal angles. Coterminal angles, let's scoot the page up. Okay, coterminal angles are two angles that land in the same spot. So if I start right here on my positive x-axis, and let's say I swing up to, that looks to be about 60 degrees. Okay, I swing up to 60 degrees. What's another way we could get there? Well, I could have swung, I could have made a complete circle and then landed there. So that would be a full circle, which would be 360 degrees, plus I went 60 more. 360 plus 60, that gives me 420. So now you can say that 60 degrees and 420 degrees are coterminal. Instead of making another round, we could go the complete opposite direction. We could go in the negative direction and end at that same terminal side. So now I've swung almost a full circle, but I'm short 60 degrees. So that would be 360 degrees minus that 60 degrees, which would leave me with 300 degrees. And we went clockwise, so that makes sure we put a negative, make it negative 300 degrees. Okay, so now we can say, well, I can't move the page. We could say that 60 degrees, 420 degrees, and negative 300 degrees are all coterminal with each other. Basically, you're adding or subtracting a circle. Okay, measuring an angle in radians. We already talked about what a radian is in class with the M&Ms. We took our circle, we took the length of our radius, measured it, laid it on the circumference, and the measurement of this angle was 1 radian. So our angle, which was 1 radian, equaled our arc length, which we called S, over our R, which we call, or R, which is radius. So in general terms, your angle, we always use a Greek letter theta, to denote angles. So theta equals S over R. We're going to take our circle, which is based off of the xy axis. Again, here's x and y. We're going to take our circle all the way around. Now, we learned that halfway around the circle is how many radians? Pi. Pi radians. So if I go around the entire circle, so I've gone 1 pi, and now that's going to make this 2 pi. So I started at 0 pi, gone around to pi, back around to 2 pi. Now let's start cutting all this up. Halfway between 0 and pi, this is going to be half pi, so pi over 2. So I've got 0 pi, pi over 2, 1 pi. What's halfway between pi and 2 pi? It's going to be 3 pi over 2. So now let's do quarters. Okay, so halfway between 0 and half pi, I'm going to have quarter pi. So that's pi over 4. So if you count your fractions, I've got 0 over 4, 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, which reduces. Then I'm going to have 3 pi over 4. And then this is 4 pi over 4. So my next quarter, you just keep counting around, is going to be 5 pi over 4. Then you've got 6 pi over 4, which reduces to 3 pi over 2. And then that would make this 7 pi over 4. And then of course we end with 8 pi over 4, which is 2 pi. So here's it divided up into quarters. We are also going to divide it up into sixths. So I'm going to do that on another sheet. So here's the new circle, xy axis, full circle. Okay, so if I divide it into sixths, this one's obviously going to be pi over 6. Then I'm going to have 2 pi over 6, which reduces to pi over 3. So I've got 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, which we should already know is pi over 2. Okay, then we've got 4 pi over 6, which reduces to 2 pi over 3. And 5 pi over 6 doesn't reduce. And then we're back over to 6 pi over 6, which reduces to pi. Keep going around with that. Now we've got 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, which is now 4 pi over 3, and 9 pi over 6, so that's your 3 pi over 2. 10 pi over 6. 10 pi over 6 would be 5 pi over 3. And then last, 11 pi over 6. And then of course we end up back here at 12 pi over 6, which we know reduces to 2 pi. Okay, sketch the angle 9 pi over 4 in standard position and find two coterminal angles in radians, one positive, one negative. Okay, start by sketching the angle. Let's get our xy axis. 9 pi over 4, well let's think about that. I know that's 0. I know in fourths this is 2 pi over 4, right? And then this would be 4 pi over 4. We'll bring this all the way around. Now this is over here is 8 pi over 4. And then it's going to be right in here. this is where my 9 pi over 4 is going to fall. It's not quite 10 pi over 4, which would be my half pi, but it's halfway in between. Okay, so I've sketched it. I know that it goes around and then stops. Find two angles that are coterminal. So we can, easiest way to do coterminal is to add on 2 pi. So you add or subtract your 2 pi. So let's take 9 pi over 4 and add 2 pi. Well, adding these two together, you can use your calculator, but do not put pi in there. You can use common denominators, which would turn this to 9 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4. Adding straight across, now I've got 17 pi over 4. Keep your common denominator. So 17 pi over 4 is going to give me the same as 9 pi over 4. Okay, let's go the other way. Let's do our 9 pi over 4 and subtract the 2 pi, which we know is 8 pi over 4. So now we get 2 pi over 4. Well, the directions said we needed one positive and one negative. So now what we're going to have to do is subtract 2 pi again. Okay, so we're going to take our pi over 4, subtract 2 pi, which is 8 pi over 4. So now we're at negative 7 pi over 4. Okay, so now we know that negative 7 pi over 4, pi over 4, and 17 pi over 4 are all coterminal angles. Okay, sketch the angle negative 3 pi over 4 in standard position and find two coterminal angles in radians, one positive, one negative. Same story. This time it's negative, which you remember what that means. It means we're going to go clockwise. So my angle is going to start here on the positive x-axis. We need to swing it 3/4 of the way through. Well, we know this is a whole pi. So if I need to go 3/4 of the way, I'm going over here. So this is our negative 3 pi over 4. Standard position. It's going from the positive x-axis, swinging clockwise. Coterminal angles, one positive, one negative. We need to add and subtract 2 pi. So let's take our negative 3 pi over 4, add 2 pi. We know that's 8 pi over 4. Negative 3 pi plus 8 pi would be 5 pi over 4. So there's one coterminal angle. Negative 3 pi over 4 and subtract 2 pi, 8 pi over 4. Now we've got negative 3 pi minus 8 pi. So now I have negative 11 pi over 4. So now we know negative 3 pi over 4 is coterminal with 5 pi over 4. It's also coterminal with negative 11 pi over 4. This is a you try it example, which means I want you to try it. So pause the video, try it, then I'm going to keep going. Okay, sketch the angle 5 pi over 6. So first you should have drawn your x and y axis. 5 pi over 6. Okay, so I'm positive. I know I'm going counterclockwise. I'm going 5/6 of the way to pi. So I'm going to land somewhere over here. Coterminal, add and subtract 2 pi. So now I've got 5 pi over 6 adding 2 pi. We need common denominators. So if I need a denominator of 6, I need to multiply by 6, which would be 12 pi. So now 5 pi plus 12 pi gives me 17 pi over 6. And then if I take my 5 pi over 6 and subtract 2 pi, 12 pi over 6, now I've got negative 7 pi over 6. There are infinitely many coterminal angles. You can get many different answers, and I will accept them all if they are correct. Another you try it, so pause the video, try it yourself, turn the video back on to check. This one's a negative, x-axis, y-axis. I need to go 2/3 of the way to pi. Here's pi. 2/3 of the way is going to put me somewhere right here. What am I doing wrong? It's supposed to be negative. So I'm going this way 2/3 of the way. Would land it over here. Okay. Get my coterminal angles. I need to take that negative 2 pi over 3, add on 2 pi. Now I need a denominator of 3, which is going to make my numerator 6 pi. So now I've got 4 pi over 3. Take that negative 2 pi over 3 and subtract 2 pi, which is 6 pi over 3. Now I've got negative 8 pi over 3.